We're building our men. We're making better men for the community, better men for the churches, better men for the chambers of commerce, better men for the state and nation. Service Club of today is probably more essential in developing leadership than any other kind of an institution.
My name is Albert German, and I was born in this house in 1876. My father, John, had immigrated from Wales when he was just a boy of 11 and lived in New York. In 1867, my father and mother, with their young family, moved to Richland County, Wisconsin, to this farm near Ithaca at Aubrey Corners. It was a good farm on good land, and my father often remarked how it reminded him of his homeland, Wales. The hills, the streams, the valleys, the magnificent bluffs and cliff formations. In addition to farming, my father was an inventor. He designed a corn planter, adjustable hospital bed, and held a patent for a milk can that cooled the milk more efficiently. As a family, we loved music and traveled all around the area, performing in churches and schools. My sister Anna was especially talented, and for many years taught voice and music lessons in the community. I grew up working with my brothers on the farm until I married Alta Moore in 1899 and located in Richland Center. I began the German jobbing service and hauled goods by wagon from the wholesalers to consumers. In 1907, my brother Daniel and I purchased the Mitchell Hotel and renamed it the Hotel Badger. Alta and I had two beautiful little girls, Viva and Anna. With both my business and my family growing, we built our first home on Church Street, just up from the hotel. In early September 1909, Alta became ill with pneumonia. It didn't seem serious, but in only 4 days she passed away. Her death was heartbreaking. The community had lost a friend, and our little girls, just 9 and 4, had lost their mother. My sister Anna stepped in to help raise them. I can never thank her enough for this kindness. "1912 was a year of change for me. I built and established my own warehouse. It was a fine 2-story concrete and brick building with a basement, with accommodations for the wagons and horses, along with storage and offices. We would purchase and stock various commodities, such as coal and cement, as well as grocery goods, including coffee and sugar. Our salesmen and delivery men would cover and service the many businesses and families in the surrounding communities. That year, I married May B. Joslin, the youngest daughter of Major W.H. Joslin. Major Joslin had served with distinction in the Civil War, and his family was well known in Richland Center. During this time, I had become acquainted with architect Frank Lloyd Wright, who was born in Richland Center, and in 1911 he moved back to build his home, Taliesin. Frank's family was also of Welsh descent, and he was drawn to the beauty and wildness of the area. He had spent summers on his uncle's farm, and while I'm not sure he enjoyed the work, he most certainly loved being close to nature. He once remarked that nature was his God. Frank Lloyd Wright was a dynamic and charismatic individual, and I asked him to sketch some designs for a new warehouse. I was impressed with his architectural vision. In 1915, I began to push forward the idea of a new and bigger facility for my wholesale business. I approached Frank once again, and after conducting a market study, decided to move forward with the A.D. German warehouse. It was in October of 1916 that I made the final decision and published my announcement in the local paper. I will close the doors of the Hotel Badger this Sunday and begin demolition. In its place, we will begin construction on a modern building of concrete and steel, which will care for my flour, feed, and cement lines. In addition to the storage of wholesale goods, there will be a small tea house restaurant, specialized retail shops, a wholesale outlet store, and a gallery for local and regional artists. The plans are being prepared by architect Frank Lloyd Wright. The cost will be approximately $30,000. We began construction in the fall of 1917. A base of cork was laid for absorption, and 4x4 squares of concrete were poured for the footings of the pillars. John Doherty and crew mixed and poured the concrete well into the night to ensure a continuous connecting of the intertwining steel reinforcement rods from the footings to the floor. It was difficult work, and we were lucky to have such a talented and hardworking crew. To support each floor, pillars of reinforced concrete were placed 16 feet apart, and again the steel was connected throughout the floor, pillar, and ceiling. With this design, there are no walls or hallways interrupting the functional use of the storage areas of the warehouse. The building is faced with brick of two kinds, a yellow and a red. The red is used for the exterior, the yellow for the inside walls. Every fourth brick is a red tie brick, for it is laid so that it extends to the opposite facing. This means that the walls are 12 inches thick and tied together for strength. Slit windows 12 inches wide are placed to allow sunlight, but their size maximizes storage space and deters vandalism and theft. Frank was at the beginning of a period of using concrete for ornamentation, and for the warehouse, it was a frieze that corresponds with the fourth floor and encircles the building below the parapet. Pouring the concrete into the molds was a difficult and time-consuming task. The molds of wood were put into place, and a wheelbarrow of concrete was brought up the scaffolding, one at a time. Once the concrete was set, the talented finishers would remove the mold and smooth and shape the joints. The concrete ornamentation certainly sets my building apart from any other. It would have been less expensive and certainly easier just to continue with brick and cap with a plain cement face. I must wonder, if we had taken that path, would the building even still stand? Or would it have given way to another uninteresting, ordinary structure? One of the features of the interior of the building was the second-floor annex, specifically Anna's room. The plan was to provide a studio for Anna for her teaching of music. Music has always been a big part of our family, and I wanted to give back to Anna for her help with raising my girls after their mother Alta died. Frank was happy to work the room into the plans, and I know his family also appreciated music. His father, the Reverend William Wright, was a renowned musician and composer. "100 years have passed since we began construction in 1917. So many events shaped and changed our course over those first construction years. America entered the war in Europe. Commodity prices fluctuated, and materials were confiscated for the war effort. In June of 1918, May, my wife of only 6 years, died of a cerebral hemorrhage. Later that year, a fire broke out in our original warehouse, destroying $100,000 in goods. With rising costs during the war, construction expenses rose dramatically. We persevered, however, through the terrible losses and inflationary prices. Frank and I were determined to finish the building with our vision intact. By 1921, the building expenses were at $125,000, and construction had to be halted. I had mortgaged and juggled all I could, and at the risk of going bankrupt, I had to stop. Our business went on, but also, it seems, so did our bad luck. Between the years of 1921 and 1936, I fought hard to keep the warehouse and to finish it. In 1935, I was able to have Frank draw up new plans to repurpose the building to use as a store, restaurant, office space, and apartments. Unfortunately, the world economy and depression ended the dream for me forever. I moved on and spent my remaining years away from the community that I had grown up and prospered in. Gone now are my businesses. Gone is my father, who at age 94 ice skated in the city pond. Gone now is Alta, May, my children, Viva, and Anna. It is natural for all things to pass. Frank Lloyd Wright and I built a building, built of concrete, steel and brick. There it still stands, waiting to be finished, waiting to fulfill its purpose. It is strong and solid, the engineering impeccable. It has been known through the years as the A.D. German warehouse. My warehouse.